Right. Let me know if you can see what you're seeing.
It's visible. The pictures of the panelists.
Yes, we can see
All right, so
that screen.
excellent. So for decades, we've measured educational success in terms of how we understand it by single metrics. If you go to any school today and say, how do you know your students are learning and actually acquiring knowledge and skills? And they'll tell you, oh, we'll give them a test and they give them scores. But looking at what we have in our world today, with the advent of technology and AI, we are fast seeing the emergence of new kinds of jobs. We have to understand that in as much as we've moved past the symmetrical measure of measuring assessments or measuring students' learning, exams also have a shortcoming, but they also have their merits. And tonight we're going to look at those things in some depth, bearing in your experiences as teachers, educators, and facilitators. So the first question for the panel is, in your view, what is the true value of an exam? And do the exams our students are currently sitting actually reflect the kind of cognitive development that are required for a 21st century learner and thinker? I think this will speak very much to Madame Lonis, Madame Emade, and Madame Tabot, and as well as Mr. Ndashi. But thinking about your experiences, especially your exposure with different kinds of educational systems and practices, what is the true value of an exam? And how do our current exam systems and practices actually reflect the kind of cognitive development that we seek to have in our learners who are supposed to be citizens of the 21st century? So the panel is open. You just need to open your mic and you can talk about this, and I'll lower the screen. Sundashi?
Good evening to you all again.
On the
Yeah, I just
evening,
have to say, from my own perspective, when we talk of exam should be an assessment of ability. To me, that is what it is supposed to be, for it to make sense. Now, the problem I have with exam, like it is done currently, is the approach. What exactly are we assessing? If I take the case of the Cameroon school system, the students are about to begin their GCE. You might be asking, what exactly will the GCE board be assessing? Because you know, recently the Cameroon government reviewed the curriculum, they upgraded the curriculum, and then they said we are moving from objective-based to competence-based. Competence-based means I expect that when we are assessing students, we are assessing competence. But you know, the GCE board, despite the upgrade of the curriculum and approach to teaching, GCE board has not changed its approach to assessment. You see, now it is difficult for us to even change our approach to teaching because we still have to gear it to what will be assessed at the end. I think that is actually the reason, one of the main reasons why we cannot change our approach to teaching. So if I come back to my perception of exam, the point is when children take exams, they are taking those exams to express their ability in something. What is that thing? That's where I think we have a problem. Now, let me take few subjects. I'll take a subject like food and nutrition. I'll take a subject like biology, a subject like chemistry, and then a subject like history. The assessment in these subjects are different. If you look at the way a subject like food and nutrition is assessed, you see that the students actually go out there and they do something. You choose a dish of your choice. Then during the exam, the practical exam, you prepare it. And I think there is always a staff that comes around, taste, and then they give their opinion about what the student has done. You see, that is competence that is being tested. If I decide to prepare arrow, I do my arrow, and then they come around, they assess my dish. But what I have not seen in the assessment is, how do I describe this? Creativity in what they do. Because if you look at the menu, we have almost the same menus every year. My expectation has been to see a student comes up with a novel menu that maybe never existed before. We now know that this student has studied food and nutrition, has concocted one or two things and come up with something that nobody ever imagined. If you are assessing such a student, you know this student has studied, is now capable of creating, not just reproducing. Now, let's take the case of my subject, biology. They say it's practical oriented, that's true. But the thing is, for all the science subject, by the way, they have what we call a manual. The same experiments every year. I want to compare this now with the international curriculum that I had the opportunity to teach. They don't have a manual. The thing is, they have skills that are expected from the students. Now, what happens is, as a teacher, you now have to guide your students to design something that will help them develop those skills. I quite remember one of the exams, AS exam, AS, because with Cambridge, we have AS and A level. They complement. The question came, and it was a research that was done in a country. I mean, they took a database of a health result in a country, and it became an exam for the students. What do they expect? You have to have the skill to interpret data. Now, if you have developed that skills of interpreting data, it doesn't matter what is put before you, you should be able to interpret the data. Contrary to what we have in Cameroon, where there is already a booklet, and the students know in this booklet, in this lab book, we have maybe 10 experiments. Come rain, come shine, there is going to be one that will come in the exam. That is to say, what they have done in the classroom, they will have to reproduce that during the exams. So the question now is, what are we assessing? Are we assessing their ability to retain and reproduce, or are we assessing students' ability to think and create? So to say, exam has its place, but the problem is how we administer exams. So let me leave it here. I don't want to go for too long. I think we'll be developing this as we flow. Yeah.
Excellent. It's already been firing already. I'm seeing a lot of points coming up. So thank you very much for that. No students can know the content. So you can teach a subject or topic, and you ask them tomorrow, oh, what did you like yesterday? It's like, I can't remember, right? And they might have personal things going on. They might be from a broken home. They might be, being bullied in school. Other things can be happening. Also, the school conditions under which exams are conducted might also be a problem. So you can find a class where a capacity of 30, you have 40 people writing the exams, So, but in your experience, what deliberate strategies can you use to build a child's confidence and help them think through their own process of learning and actually reproducing that learning in a creative way in the context of an exams?
Let me start with one of this project we did, in short, TC did recently with some children. How did you title that project? They were given some work to do. They had to build coherence. They had to build some stuff and then come demonstrate what they actually did. From my experience, what goes on in the classroom is often geared towards exam. That is what I've observed when it comes to teaching within the school context. Whatever thing that is done is geared towards exam. And most of the times when you look at what schools even do, I have come to notice that most schools engage in activities that are not really aimed at building skills and competencies for the children, but they are meant to show the public that we are doing this, and then it serves as a marketing strategy. So we now find ourselves with a lot of activities, but activities that are disconnected. Madam Eunice just said something a while ago. If you look at class 1 and class 2, we initiate the concept in class 1, and then we concretize those concepts in class 2, which means there is continuity. But when it comes to activities that are done in schools, that are activities that can actually build the children's competencies, we notice that those things are done randomly, and we see a lot of things that are being done, but at the end of it, a child can't really tell you, I am doing this thing for this reason. I want to take on this project because we have identified problem A, B, or C, and we are trying to devise an approach to resolve that problem. So they can explain the approach to you. I'll take a very good example. What I'm saying here, I'm guilty of it. Because you remember when you gave me projects to assess, when we came back, I think I had about 5 projects to assess. All my students were excellent, 18 and so on. Then I was like, why are your students scoring 12, 9, and mine are? So I came to realize that I assessed those projects from the perspective of a teacher in a classroom, rather than looking at projects children have worked on in order to solve a specific problem. Because they had a document you read and you think this is good. Schools often assess those concepts. Can this child actually think? You give them the score, but that project was about go, identify a problem, think, design a solution to that problem, come back, explain in a video how you got the materials, how you build it, and how it functions. Some of them came and they were just reading what they've written on paper. You see the difference. So coming back to what you're saying.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, coming back to what you're saying, when it comes to preparing the students and actually making sure that we get to assess competencies, we have to be able to define activities that are connected and with a final goal. If I'm teaching my biology, during this teaching, I have a topic like dissolution. I want these children to be able to learn something about dissolution. I will take a project I once did with them. I say, okay, how many of you cook at home? All of them raise their hands. I say, have you ever had the experience where you cook and the food is too salty? All of them were like, yeah. And so I said, okay, how do you solve that problem? A student will clearly tell you that food is to be discarded. Let's take the case of a soup. I say, okay, if your soup is too salty, the only thing you can do, one of the things you can do is to add a little bit of water to it. Ask, have you ever tried it? They say yes. When you add water to your soup, what happens? They say it reduces the salt. I said, do you know what you have just done? When you pour that water in your soup, you are dissolving the excess salt, and then you make it taste better. The soup might not be best, but at least that problem of the salt is solved. The second thing I ask them is, okay, what if you boil rice and notice that there is no salt in it? What do? Do you take your salt and sprinkle it on the rice? They say, no, if you do that, you'll eat your rice and there'll be grains in it. I said, perfect. What else can you do? Now, if you have to solve that problem, you will need salt and water. You will not put your salt directly, but you have to dissolve it in water and put it. So you see, we go from a problem and then we devise a solution to solve that problem, which I think comes back to what we are saying. If we have to make exams matter, if we have to make exams count in the learning process, we have to be able to design exams in a way that will assess competencies, will assess skills. If we change that way of assessment, you will notice that even the approach to teaching in class will change. I mean, automatically,
yes,
if a teacher knows that just giving the students content and asking them to go answer questions on papers will not serve in the exam. They will do what has to be done for them to get to that exam. So exam is very important, but the way we coin it, the way we design it can change everything. Reason why teaching in the classroom has not changed in Cameroon, even though we have changed the approach. And the simple reason is because the body that assesses has not changed anything. Now, if they change it, you will see that in the classroom, everything will automatically change. The teacher will be forced to align to what that exam is all about. And one of the things too is when you follow up school grading in Cameroon, when they start telling you they have done a grading of schools, this is the first, second, and so on. What is the criteria for assessing schools? They have just one criteria: percentage passing exam. Currently, we are in this is the month of May. Observe between June till September, you will see banners everywhere. And I've never seen a school put up 0%. I've never seen a school put up 40% pass. Every school you see is 100%, 90%, and stuff like that. But we know that the national average is around 60. Where are the schools that are not performing? Either those ones will not say anything or they'll fake those figures and put them up. Why? Because we focus a lot on exams. And unfortunately, exams are coined in a way where we only test the student's ability to retain and regurgitate. So I don't know if I am still in what you asked, but I think that's what I can say when it comes to.
So if I could break down your strategies, it's a series of coherent cascading of questions that will prompt the child to think and to demonstrate their thinking and how they come about answering the question or solving the issue. So yeah, that's one strategy. Thank you. Thank you very much. We have NC back. Welcome. Can you hear us?
5 on 5.
Yep, your 2 cents on this question.
I think I would rather talk of one because
Good.
the context here is they say we are already approaching exams.
Yes, they are. Tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, the best approach for the students is one that puts them as the teacher, that is letting them now express themselves. It could be like group work, it could be like presentations, where they now position themselves they now put themselves in that position where they give out. I mean, they are fully engaged in giving out. I know when students learn among themselves, it's better than when there is a teacher there you can only be there to guide them, but you let them express themselves. You see, Madame Tabot said something just before I went off. She said, until a student expresses themselves, they can never know if what they know is correct or wrong. So when you put them in that position and they begin to express themselves, you as a teacher can only guide them and say, okay, sometimes you might just let them say what they say and back it up. Because students don't just say things because they want to say things. They might have a backing to what they are saying. I know you as a teacher, you know what is expected of them, but when they say what they say, you have them back what they say up, then you can now guide them through. But the point is that they should be in that position where they are actually giving out so that they can express themselves and get to know if what they know is what is correct or not. Then you said, I don't know, the last part of the question is the advice I'll give them just before the exam. I'll come back to what Madame, I don't know if Madame Tabot or Madame Tabot said. Stress is a normal thing. I think that's something we have to let the students know. To be stressed up during exam is normal and they have to accept it. The thing is, when you are in that state of stress, what exactly should you do? Madame Tabot already said it. Because this is what happens. A student prepares well for the exam. But during the exam, that's when the failure comes up. They fail during the exam, but not during the preparation. Why? The very first paper counts a lot. A student steps into an exam, the first paper they take, if they don't perform or if they don't feel like they wrote well during that paper, you see, it might carry on till then, even in subjects where they master best. Just like when they pick up a question paper, they read the first question and they think this is a question that is more than me. They read the second one, is still a question that is more than me. They begin to panic. But the thing is, that's normal. It can happen. But now, what do they do when they find themselves in that situation so that they don't now get controlled by the situation, but they rather take control of that situation? I think Madame Tabot already established that. There is a technique that is used to control stress. I mean, it's not just for exams, for any situation. Once you start feeling stressed up, once you start feeling like panic is setting in, take in, hold the breath for some time, exhale, hold it out for some time, and you do that, I think, like 2-3 times. You see that you will come back to yourself, and then you can now begin to think correctly. That's just what I think I would tell my students if we were at the eve of an exam and I want to tell them, all right, go and take your exams. I would tell them, accept the fact that stress is real. Exam stress is real. Exam stress can happen. You can experience it. But if you do experience it, this is what you have to do in order to overcome that situation and don't let it control you.
Thank you very much, Sandashi. Thank you very much, Madam Emma. We've come to the end of the session. Thank you so much. For those of you on the Teacher Network, don't forget to nominate yourself or nominate a colleague who's doing amazing things. You know the criteria already. We're looking for the most active members in our community. We're looking for the most creative, tech-oriented teachers. We're looking for those who are actually championing critical discourse in pedagogy, in learning, in exam preparation, assessment, technology integration, all those things, and policy. And most especially those of you who are actually championing professional learning. So it opens up on the 1st of June. Make sure you nominate yourself. The awards will be given on the 31st, no, on the 1st of August during the TC Rethinking Education Conference. If you've never attended this as well, it'll be good to come and see what we do. And on that note, we are also closing with our teacher professional learning program that will run from August the 3rd, I think, to the 6th. And we'll try and tailor it to the needs of those who've been participating for the previous years and those who are new on the program. On that note, thank you very much. On behalf of my team, thank you. We wish you a wonderful night and a wonderful weekend ahead. Until then, we hope to see you again. You can check
Thank
the
you, Doctor.
on Facebook. There'll be a live on Facebook, and you can also send you kind of a summary of what we've done. Thank you, and have a good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. It was
Bye-bye.
wonderful. Bye.